podcast hosts Gabe and Leo discuss topics that directly and indirectly affect the LGBTQ+ community. Their generation gap has them seeing the world through very different points of view. They fight, they argue, they laugh, and they get off topic. But they make sense. Most of the time. Are you ready for this episode of Let's Talk Trans? Well, let's get started. Hey, it's Wednesday night, and this is your episode of Let's Talk Trans. I want to turn myself down just a little bit because I sound really, really loud. Or maybe I just need to push the mic away. I don't know. I can't do both. Okay. So, just like I said, on Sunday, if you listen to episode 23. Holy, I can't believe we've done that many episodes. That today I was going to talk about tomorrow. So, just for those of you that are confused, on Sunday, which was the 27th, I said that today, the 30th, I would be talking about tomorrow, the 31st. Anybody else confused? Leo's over there rolling his eyes already. Primarily, more so because of the way I'm about to say this. The reason why tomorrow is so important is tomorrow is International Transgender Day of Visibility, or as Leo likes to put it. Leo? Transgender Visibility Day. So, either way you say it, tomato, tomato. Tomorrow is really, really important for a lot of people in the LGBTQ+ community, primarily, like I said, people who fall under the transgender umbrella, because it celebrates transgender people and kind of raises awareness of the discrimination that are faced by transgender people in the world. As well as, celebrating the contributions to society, artists, just people coming out and being themselves in general. I think it's absolutely beautiful. And you kind of gotta apologize. I gotta apologize primarily because if you've listened to Leo and I at all throughout the the 3 months that we've been doing this, 4 months that we've been doing. Anyway, we're still very new at this. Leo's more educated than I am, and I think that's because, Leo surrounds himself with people in the LGBTQ+ community, where I myself, unfortunately, have one person around me on a regular basis, not two, who are part of the community, but one is gay and is cisgender, and the other person is transgender, but our environment kind of limits how much exposure we get. So I'm literally kind of an infant in the field. And so that's why, whenever we do a podcast, I'm by no stretch of the imagination, man, I'm an expert. And you want to ask me about history, that's where my expertise is. But you want to ask me about the LGBTQ+ community and the way that we celebrate, or the way that people in the community demonstrate their glorious and amazing personalities. I'm still learning that. So you kind of got to bear with me when I get excited over International Transgender Day of Visibility, or Transgender Visibility Day. Because, again, to me, I didn't know this existed. I know about, I know there's a week in November for the LGBTQ and more about awareness, but this actual Visibility Day thing was, like I said, new to me. So I got a little giddy. I won't lie. So I here where we at on the East Coast, there aren't a whole lot of activities or ways to celebrate tomorrow. But on the West Coast, kind of makes me wish I lived in California. There are way more events. I'm not saying that there's a pride parade, because I don't believe there is, to my knowledge. But I know there's going to be a lot of walking on that rainbow crosswalk in Santa Monica. Don't quote me on that. I'll go look it up. Okay, so I'm kind of off a little bit. Okay, so it's not in Santa Monica. I'm sorry, it's West Hollywood. Gotta hope it's West Hollywood, not East Hollywood. So anyway, the Rainbow Walkway is in West Hollywood, but apparently there's also one in Atlanta, Georgia. I didn't know that. And there's one in San Antonio, Texas, which, I'm sorry, but I find that to be insanely ironic right now with everything going on. There's also a Rainbow Walkway in Lexington, Kentucky. So it's absolutely insane how many rainbow walkways there are. But in the same breath, I know that the one in West Hollywood is not only like just a rainbow walkway, but I think they recently painted it to do so it's the LGBTQ plus, like, the Alliance flag. So like I'm dying to see it because, well, I need to go there. I need to. That's what I need to do. That's what I need to do. It's a bucket list thing now. So, like I was saying, there are so many people who experience some form of harassment or some form of negative reaction, and I'm not gonna say that. No, I'm gonna say it. For whatever reason, it's aimed more at transgender women. Those individuals who, male to female, that's what a transgender woman is. For those of you who are cisgender listening, or perhaps don't know and you're listening for the first time, I apologize because it's getting to be allergy season and my meds wore off, so I'm a little congested. But what I say, it's just that for whatever reason, and I don't know if it's because the male alter ego or the male ego or that misogynistic male mentality, which not all men have. Okay, not all men are like that. And for those of you who are in relationships with men who are not like that, you know that. But there's something about picking on people who perhaps physically present as male, but psychologically and internally are female. It's like a riper target or something. Like a cisgender woman who's confident is less likely to be picked on or less likely to be harassed than a transgender woman, and I don't understand that. Not to say that everybody should be picked on equally. Nobody should be picked on at all. But like I said, it's just nuts. And I was watching one of my favorite YouTubers, Jamie, the other day, and he was talking about this college student who was very right-wing, gun-toting, anti-everything that isn't, white bread. That's the terminology I'm going to use. And, the question came out, how do you feel about so-called transgender women in the women's bathroom? And everybody she talked to was like, hey, you know what? That's their preference, and that's okay, and I don't mind. She's talking about, tampons in the men's room for men who have periods. And basically trying to make... she was trying to make something of what all these people saw as nothing. And she dropped the word predator. It's only a matter of time before, one of these transgender predators comes in. And both Jamie and I, Jamie did the same thing that I did listening to him. And we both kind of went, whoa. It's only a matter of time before that terminology came out. But it had to do with a transgender female, going into the women's room, automatically labeled a predator. But, like me, a transgender male, or transgender man, going into the guy's bathroom, how come I'm not seeing it as a predator? Is it just because I don't have the parts and therefore I'm a little itty bitty thing and I'm not a threat? Please. But you see what I'm saying? I mean, like, anybody could be a threat. Anybody could be a predator. Hell, I work with predators. That's not to say that I am one. Just in my environment. But what I'm saying is that, I mean, like, transgender women seem to be the target of most of this transphobia, anti-human being mentality. And so, like I said, on one of these international Transgender Day of Visibility sites that I was on, there was actually a board that had statistics, and it was terrifying. It was talking about the probability of transgender women being incarcerated and transgender women being abused, and the percentages. It was like 1 in 8, I think it was. 1 in 8 transgender women of color are more likely to be harassed or assaulted or attacked. I'll go back and actually get it, but it was 1 in 12 for transgender women who are white, and those numbers, 1 in anything, is unacceptable in my opinion. And that's not just because I'm a guy. That's not because I was raised to treat women with respect. I was raised to treat humans with respect. My father raised me to be a girl, but because I identified as a young man from the inside out, it was his actions. I watched my father behave like a gentleman, and therefore knew what a man was supposed to act like, whether it was holding doors or saying yes ma'am or no ma'am, yes sir, no sir, whether it was leading by example, or in some cases it was hiding our indiscretions from our children because we didn't want them to see us as vulnerable or weak. We wanted to set that more positive example. So this one statistical page is about HIV, and boys and girls, unfortunately, STDs are still a thing, and I don't know why, but it just kind of seemed like they went away for a little bit, like nobody talked about them, and now we're talking about them again. So transgender. A person of transgender experience, especially transgender women of color, are disproportionately impacted by HIV. Transgender women are 49 times more likely to be living with HIV. 28% of transgender Americans live with HIV, reported they have been harassed in their doctor's office. And 19% of transgender Americans living with HIV reported being refused treatment due to their gender identity. Like I said, any statistic where a person is, what do I want to say? A person is, like I said, harassed, refused services, any of those things, it's wrong. It's just absolutely, completely, and totally wrong. It's not right. I know, wrong is not right. I'm aware. I know how silly that sounded, but all right. So, and here's the other one, and I did find this. So this is horrible. Oh, ha! I was kind of off, but not in a good way. So it was 1 in 8. So trans women have a 1 in 12% chance of being murdered. 1 in 8. Of that 1 in 12, 1 in 8 of them will be a woman of color. 30% of transgender women, trans women have been incarcerated.